Hi, this is GP here, and welcome to another session of DILR Jugaad Solutions. And here we focus on how to do the sets faster, how to use the question and the choices, and ensure that we are able to do at least one set extra in the paper. Okay. So, chalo, let's get started with the session number 9. But before we start, quick background to the session for those of you attending it for the first time. Those who have attended earlier, there will be a small repetition, but I guess that's fine. If you look at the CAT pattern, the latest pattern of CAT is 3 sections of 40 minutes each with 24, 22, and 22 questions. That is total of 68 questions. Our focus is the DILR section, which is the second section. CAT 24 had 5 sets of data with 22 questions. The earlier papers had 20 questions. Okay? And so that's the broad structure of the paper that we are looking at. And yes, you have to do this in 40 minutes. This particular section, or in fact each of the 3 sections. Now when you look at DILR section and you look at from 2020 to 24, why am I looking from 2020 onward, not before that? Because 2020 onwards, these are 2-hour papers, and when I say 2-hour paper, this means 40 minutes for each section. So 40 minutes per section. So when you look at this pattern, this is there that in terms of the times CAT 2020 onwards, we have had this pattern of 3 sections of 40 minutes. The number of questions has varied a bit. Okay, the number of questions have been as low as 66 to as high as I think 76. The range of questions has been from 66 to 76, but the number of questions and the time limit of 40 minutes into 3 has happened since CAT 2020. Okay. But चलो अब देखते हैं क्या हुआ है last 5 years में. If you look at the DILR section, okay. Now if you look at the number of questions and the marks. So if you look at number of questions in DILR, by and large has been 20. Last year CAT 24 was 22, previous and CAT 2020 was 24. And the number of sets is 5 sets of data. Okay. Now when you look at the maximum possible marks, you get to an idea which is nothing but the number of questions multiplied with 3. So that is all we are looking at. But the critical thing to understand is where is 99 percentile. The ground rule which you can use from a DILR perspective, that if you have 50% marks, you will be somewhere around 97 to 99.5 percentile. This has been the data if you look at CAT as a whole over the last 5 years, and even before that, if you look at that was the thing. So if you look at each of the years, CAT 2020 72 mark paper, 36 marks would have been above 99 percentile. CAT 21, 60 marks paper, 30 marks would have been somewhere around 97 percentile, 97.5 percentile. CAT 22, 30 marks again would have been marginally above 99 percentile. CAT 23, 30 marks would be again above 99 percentile, okay? Which is 50% marks. Okay? And if you look at CAT 22, 30 marks would have been somewhere around 97 percentile. So, which is what you need to understand, that this is a paper in which is extremely important to attempt an extra set. So by and large, when I say 30 marks, we are talking about 10 questions or about 2.5 sets. If by using the Jugaad method, you can do half a set, 1 set extra, 2 to 3 questions extra, you can easily get to a score of about 35 to 40. So you can easily get to a score of about 60%. Okay? So if you get to a score of about 60%, you are going to be reasonably sure of a 99.5 percentile. So all I'm trying to do is ensure whatever the paper, एक एक्स्ट्रा सेट करके आओगे, उसमें तुम जो नॉर्मल औकात है उसके ऊपर. ठीक है, चलो let's go further. And so what are the approach we use, which is the Stones have named this Jugaad. Never called this Jugaad, but Stones ने बोला ये बहुत अच्छे जुगाड़ है तो हमने नाम चिपका लिया वहां पे. So what is Jugaad? Jugaad is a problem solving approach. Please understand, this is not a shortcut technique as such. This is an approach of problem solving. Okay? Which means there's a definite method behind the madness. It is not कि कहीं पे भी कुछ भी लगा लिया and हर question के लिए अलग नहीं होता है. There's a basic process that has to be followed. And the basic processes, we will look at all available information. क्या खास बात है इसमें? बोलोगे वो तो हमेशा ही कहते हैं, नहीं. Most of the students don't look at all available information. What is the information most students look at? They look at the data given. Most of the students and people and even teachers who teach DILR do not look at questions. They do not look at choices. And there's a wealth of information available in question and choices, and that is what gets missed out. And इसलिए ये जरूरी है देखना, because once you're able to look at this, once you make it a habit, इनको पक्का देखना है, you will end up saving a lot of time in the paper. Okay? Second thing which you need to understand, Jugaad does not focus on solving question. Yes, I have to solve question, I know. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Jugaad does not focus on filling up the table. It focuses on solving the question. My mistake. How stupid of me. Okay. So बहुत बार क्या होता है, हम लोग टेबल भरने में अपना टाइम बर्बाद करते हैं कि जैसे टेबल भरना ही हमारी जिंदगी का मकसद है. नहीं है. My मकसद is not table भरना. My मकसद is to solve the questions correctly. And many times you will find if you are focused on solving the question, if you what you will do, you will make a table as per the requirements of the question, and you will not waste time. Secondly, if you are focused on solving the question, not on the table, many times you leave a very difficult question and do the easy question, move on to the next set and save time that way, and do an extra set in that much time. Because many times you will find that one question is will take you 5 to 7 minutes, and the other 3 to 4 questions can be done in 5 to 7 minutes. Maybe it is worthwhile evaluating the option of doing an extra set rather than doing that particular difficult time-consuming question. So 2 things. Please look at all available information. And please make sure your focus is on solving the question and you are not stuck on making a table. Table has to be made as per the requirements of the question, not otherwise. Okay. Chalo. And what is the broad process that we follow? It is again called DILR. You decipher, you identify, you lay out, you resolve. What do you decipher? The basic information which is given, the data, table, graph, jo bhi diya hota hai, wo basic hai. Most students do it. Most students will go through it. The mistake they do it is, the mistake they commit is they move very fast, they don't understand it fully, and they just want to jump to the questions and make the table. Okay, that is one mistake. So, आराम से पढ़ो इसको, data देखो क्या कहता है, समझ लो, because if you don't understand, आगे जाने का फायदा भी नहीं होगा. So please understand, this deciphering is comprehension if you want to call it, but you have to understand the data completely. Next step is to identify. So first, once you have deciphered, then your job is to identify. Identify the information given in the question. As I said, most of the students ignore this part. They straight away go from here, make a table, complete the table, and then go to the question. So most of the students or majority of the people, their approach is read the data, okay? Read the data, and that they hurriedly go through it, make the table, okay? Solve questions. That's a very stupid way of doing this section. The right approach is, yes, you read the data, understand, decipher, but at the next stage, get more information from the question and the choices, which will help you understand how the table, how it has to be solved. Now that you know what the question is asking for, next is your job of layouting, which means tabulating the data. The data tabulation or the table making happens afterwards. It is not the first step. First step is decipher, get more information or identify the information given in the question and the choices, and then you do the layouting based on the information which you have gathered here, because this also tells you what kind of table, what are the things which I need to look for, and then parallelly you keep answering the question. So DILR is there and LR will happen parallelly. So DI is a parallel process, these two have to be done, and then these two have to be done parallelly. So you make the layout, do the question, get the information question, improve your layout, and so on and so forth. So that back and forth between the question and the data table, etc., has to be done on a regular basis. Okay? And I hope you have done this particular set. If you have not done this set, you have galti kar rahe ho. All these sets we released earlier, and they are available on OpenCat. If you go to OpenCat, you can go to OpenCat by scanning this QR code. वहां जाके तुम GP का जुगाड़ tab खोलो. All these sets which we have done so far are available there. We will have a PDF as well as a video of the same. So what is your job? If you have missed the earlier ones, download the PDF. Solve it yourself. If you are able to solve it, great. If you are not able to solve it, कोई बात नहीं. Now after you have tried solving it yourself, go and look at the video. पहले video नहीं देखना है. जब तक खुद करके नहीं आओगे, you will always be only focused on the solution, and your learning or your ability to solve sets will not improve. So your job is to do it yourself first. Afterward, look at the video. And I presume इस वाले set का तुम लोग download करके दिखा चुके हो खुद ही. चलो आगे चलते हैं. ठीक है? And we are picking up a set from CAT 2023. There's a slot. Okay? Let's look at the data first. There are only 3 female students, AKR, and there are only 3 male students, BMS. मेरे को ये नाम बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं जब initials अलग होते हैं, because then I don't need to worry about the full name, so I only go with the initials. So initials are AKR and BMS in the course. The course has two evaluation components, a project and a test. The aggregate score in the course is the weighted average of the two components. So the weighted average of the project score and the test score is the aggregate score, with the weights being positive and adding to 1. Okay. So that means one of the weight could be 30, another could be 70%, it could be 20, 80, 75, 25, 35, whatever. But they are adding up to 1 or 100%. Okay. The project is done in two groups, with each group consisting of a female and a male student. So one female and one male student in each group for the project. Both the group members obtain the same scores in the project. So group members, if you have members of the group, both of them will get the same marks in the project. Okay. The following additional facts are known about the scores in the project and the test. Okay. So then there's additional information. I'll come to this later. But my first thing, as you know, is भैया सवाल तो देख लें क्या कहते हैं. Let's see what are the questions telling us. First question: what is any score in the project? What does that mean? Theta. Theta means none of these cannot be determined. हो ही नहीं सकता. What does that mean? That you should be able to solve this particular data set. You will be able to give the answer to this question. That means table you should be able to by and large make. Question 2: what is the weight of the test component? Okay, and the question talked about now that the weights being positive adding up to 1. Now this is a question which is a very useful question for me, क्योंकि मेरा set solve करवा सकता है. क्यों? पहली चीज. Now you have been asked the weight of the test component. Okay. Now supposing the test component weight is X. Okay, let's say 35%, 0.35. Then most of the time you'll find 0.65, which is the weight of the project component, will also be there. So typically in such questions, what happens is, look at the choices. The two numbers that add up to 1, your answer is going to be one of them. And which are the two numbers which add up to 1 out here, or 100%? 0.6 plus 0.4. Most probably my answer will be one of these. Is it guaranteed? No, obviously not. But the chances are that one of them will be the answer. Why is that the case? क्योंकि गलती से अगर तुमने टेस्ट कंपोनेंट दिया, प्रोजेक्ट कंपोनेंट कैलकुलेट करके डाल दिया, तो आंसर दिखना चाहिए ना गलती का. तो गलती का थप्पड़ यहीं पे पड़ जाता है, बाद में पता चलता है. लेकिन okay? So out here I'll start by saying the answer is most probably going to be question choice 1 or 3. I will check it in when I'm doing the table. Okay. Question 3. Okay. What is the maximum aggregate score obtained by the students? Again, this could be a useful question for me. So as far as I am concerned, question number 2 and question number 3 are my Jugaad question, because maximum aggregate score कहीं ना कहीं कुछ data में हमेशा होता है, and that again is something I should be able to solve or at least get out here. Okay. Question 4, like the first question, is nothing but a theta question, and both question 1 and question 4 are telling you शायद more or less table बन जाएगा. Question 5: which of the following pairs of students were part of the same project? Okay. Now, what is this overall telling you? What do we need to do? We'll need to find the test score, the project score, and the aggregate score of all these 6 students. Who are the 6 students? A, K, R are the girls, and BMS are the boys. This is the kind of table we'll need to make, right? Now, what these are telling you is, we will be able to find the weight. We will know the aggregate score also. We will know Rinne's and Matthew's score also. And 5th question also similar. Which students are part of the same project team? None of these cannot be sufficient, cannot be determined. Choices are missing. What does that mean? We will be able to fill up the data table completely. You should be able to solve it completely, and is what the questions are telling me. Okay, so let's get down to solving it. And what is the regular solution? Regular solution में क्या होता है? Question तो लोग देखते ही नहीं है. तो चलो पहले regular solution लेते हैं and see where will you get stuck up if you go by the regular solution. I'm not saying you will not be able to solve it, but फंस जाओगे. चलो देखते हैं. चलो पहला statement. Okay. Now before we go, I'll just highlight the important parts again on this one. Oh, sorry. It is rolling. Yes. Okay. 3 females AKR and 3 males BMS. Okay. There are 2 evaluation components, project and a test. Both of them are here. Oh, sorry. Project and test. AKR are the females, BMS are the boys. Okay. Next one. The aggregate score is the weighted average of the 2 components. Okay. With weights being positive and adding up to 1. Okay. Then what does it say? Project is done in groups of 2, with each group consisting of a female and a male student, and both of them get the same score in the project. Both group members obtain the same score in the project. This is what we know. And based on that, let's start making the table. ये सही table बनाने इसमें तो कोई major issue नहीं है. Okay. First statement: the minimum, maximum, and the average of both project and test scores were equal to 40, 60, 80, and 60. So whether it is project or whether it is test, the minimum, maximum, and the average. This is the average. This is the maximum, and this is the minimum for both. Okay. Chalo, let's go further. Statement 2, the test scores of students were all in multiples of 10. 4 of them being distinct and remaining 2 equal to the average test score. So if I'm looking at the test scores, what are the scores possible for them? 2 of them are average. That means 60, 60. Okay. 2 of the 6 scores are 60, which is the average. Average is for test score is 60. Okay. And what are the others? All the remainings are multiples of 10. The lowest being 40, highest being 80. That is what is given out here. So we can have a 40, we can have a 50, 60, 60. Then we can have a 70 and we can have an 80. So the 6 scores are these. And remember, it's saying 4 of them being distinct, which means 40, 50, 70, 80 are the distinct scores, and 2 of them are equal to the average test score. So the 6 scores in the test of 40, 50, 60, 60, 70, 80. 60 comes obviously 2 times. Okay. So statement 2 we have taken care of. Okay. What about the project scores? What will be the project scores? Okay. The minimum is 40. That means someone has got 40. Someone has got 60, which is the average, and the third one is 80. Okay, let me put it this way slightly because some will have a problem with 60. 40 and 80 are definitely there. Okay. And average of 40, why 40 and 80? Someone has definitely got 40, someone has definitely got 80. Why? Because the minimum is 40, so someone has got 40, but only one person? No, 2 people would have got 40. Why? Because both the members of the group will get the same 40 marks. Similarly, if both the members of the group would have got 80. And what is the average of these two? 60. For the average to be 60, the only way possible is the remaining 2 people will get the score of 60. Okay. So the scores in the project are 40, 60, 80. 2 people getting 40, 2, 60, and 280. And as far as the tests are concerned, yeah, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Chalo. Statement 1 and 2 taken care of. Statement 3. Amla's score in the project was double that of Kohli in the same. Amla is double of Kohli in the project. So what is Amla? What is the only combination which is double? 40 and 80 is the only combination. So Amla has to be 80 in project and Kohli has to be 40 as per statement number 3, first part. Second, but Kohli scored 20 more than Amla. Kohli scored 20 more than Amla in test. So Kohli has 20 marks more than Amla in test. So what are the possibilities? This could be 40 and 60. Right? It could be 60 or 80. 2 possibilities. We don't know which of the 2 is correct, but this is it. Okay? These are the 2 cases which are there. Yet, Amla had the highest aggregate score. Amla had the highest aggregate score. Very good. So, she's the maximum. She's the topper of the group. Statement 4. Shamlal, which is S, scored the second highest in the test. What is the second highest score in the test? 70. Okay. So let me just remove 180 and 140 here. Okay. Shamlal scored 70 in the test. Okay. He scored 2 more than Kohli. He scored 2 more than Kohli, but 2 less than Amla in aggregate. Shamlal has scored 2 more than Kohli and 2 less than Amla in the aggregate. So if Shamlal has got X marks in aggregate, if I say Shamlal has got X marks in aggregate, he scored 2 more than Kohli, so Kohli will be X minus 2 and Amla will be 2 more, which is X plus 2. Now what is this telling me? That the difference between marks of Amla and Kohli is 4 marks. Okay. Or you could even say, if Amla is X plus 4, Shamlal will be X and Kohli will be X minus 2. X plus 2 and X. My mistake. The difference between the two of them has to be 4. You can do it also, but I'll go with what I wrote, that if Shamlal has scored X marks in aggregate, then Amla is 2 marks more than Shamlal, which is X plus 2, and Kohli is 2 marks less than Shamlal, which is makes it X minus 2. Okay. Next, statement 5. Viman scored the second lowest in the test. What is the second lowest in the test? It is 50 marks. The lowest in test is 40 marks. So second lowest in test is 50 marks scored by Viman. So let us remove these two also. Okay. And the lowest in the aggregate. So Viman is minimum. So while Amla is the highest, Viman is the lowest aggregate score. Okay. Next, Matthew scored more than Rini in project. So as far as project is concerned, Matthew scored more than Rini. But less than her in the test. So, and Matthew has scored less than Rini in that test. Matthew less than Rini. Okay. There's the data we have. Now what does it mean? Now we need to start making cases. Start substituting data and start working on it. Perfectly fine. Why? Because there are questions. And what are the questions telling us? I've already talked about it. To me, it is question number 2, question number 3. Remember, question has asked for maximum aggregate score, and we know Amla is the maximum aggregate. Question the question 2 is asking the weight of the test components. That means weight of test component. If I say 60%, that means weight of the other will be 40%. If one is 50, other will be also be 50. Or it could be 40 for test and 60 for the other one. And it could be 75 for test or 25 for project. Okay, so to me, as I said, ये दोनों यार मेरे बहुत जरूरी सवाल है, मैं तो इनके साथ काम करूँगा. Okay, so let me just copy the data from the previous slide and put it here. 80, 40. So far what we have got out here is 80, 40. Matthew more than Rini. And here Matthew is less than Rini. Okay. 40, 60, 60, 80. And Viman 50, Shamlal 70. And Amla was X plus 2. Kohli is X minus 2 in aggregate, and Shamlal is X in aggregate. Okay. And we know that the maximum aggregate score is for Amla, and the minimum aggregate score is for Viman. So this is what we were. Now after this, yeah, ये सब अच्छा ऊपर का data भी डाल देता हूँ. 40, 60, 80, 40, 60, 80. Let me do that also. And 180 and 140 taken care of. And out here we have 40, 50, 60, 60, 70, 80. 50 and 70 are gone. And 160 will definitely be between A and K, but the others we can't say. So this is where we are. Now, if you remember, we have looked at all these statements so far. Okay. Now what will I do? I'll go to question 2 and question 3 combined. By using these weights, can I check out what is the aggregate score? So let's start. Okay. What is the weight of the test component? I am reasonably sure the answer is one of these two. Okay. So if I take the test component weight to be 60%, okay, supposing I say 0.6. So the project will be 0.4. So what will be the aggregate score for Amla if the weights are 40 and 60%? 40% of 80 is 32 plus 60% of 40 is 24. All it will be 60% of 60, which is 36. So it will be either 32 plus 24 or 32 plus 36, right? What does it mean? 32 plus 24 is equal to 56. But 56 is not a maximum aggregate. Remember, Amla is the maximum or the highest aggregate score. ये तो है ही नहीं, तो यानी केस हो ही नहीं सकता. And 32 plus 36 is going to be 68. Yeah, 68 is equal. Okay. So I just picked up the first one, weight of the test component. I said 60%. I got this value. Okay. So 68. So that means this is an available choice with 60% here, and with this combination, we are getting 68 out here. Now what should you do? We know that the difference between Amla and Kohli has to be 4 marks. Let's check. Based on the second component, let us check the aggregate score of Kohli. What will be aggregate score of Kohli? 40% of 40 is 16 and 60% of 80 is 48. What does that become? ये तो कट गया था. 48 plus 16, 64. The difference is 4 marks. तो ये होगा आंसर. That means one shot I have got the answer to do. कोई केस नहीं बनाना. कौन बेवकूफ इतने केसेस बना के देखेगा? I will do it this way. Okay. So starting point clear हो गया. That means this is 68. 64. Kohli has to be 64. These two are out. Okay. That means 60 and 80 gone. 160, 180 gone. That means these two will be 40 and 60. One of them has to be 40. One of them has to be 60. And we know Matthew is less than Zinni. So Matthew has to be 40. Zinni has to be 60. Okay. Any question which we can solve based on this? What is Zinni's score in the project? We need Zinni's score in the project. We need this particular cell. रुक जाते हैं. अभी निकाल लेंगे. कोई बात नहीं. But ये चाहिए. Question 4. What is Matthew's score in the test? Matthew का score in the test. ये तो निकाल लिया ना. इसका तो आंसर मार्क करें. So Matthew's score in the test is 40 marks. चलो आगे चलते हैं. ये तो कर ले पहले आंसर. Matthew's 40 marks in the test. So now that we have got Matthew's score in the test, आगे चलते हैं. Now we look at the remaining. Okay. पहली चीज. Okay. I need to find ये चार लोगों का क्या होना. सबसे आसान क्या है? First check Shamlal का स्कोर क्या होगा. Okay. What is Shamlal's score? Shamlal has to be aggregate of Shamlal has to be 2 less than Amla, which is A. So Shamlal should be 68 minus 2, 66. Okay. What will it be? Something plus 40% of, let's say, let me say, what do I call it? P? P nahi hai na? Haan. Okay. Okay. 40% of Y, 0.4 Y plus 0.6 into 70, which is 42. 60% of 70, this should be equal to 66. Right? So that means 0.4 Y should be equal to 66 minus 42 is going to be 66 minus 42 is 24. Or that means Y will be equal to 60. So Y has to be 60. So this is going to be 60. Okay. That implies Y is equal to 24 upon 0.4, which will be equal to 60. So 60 आ गया ना, चलो एक ये भी निकल गया. Okay. Anything we can do? No. Okay. Now let's look at the 3 people left. We know Matthew has to be more than Zinni. So if Zinni is 40, let me write down that a little more. If Zinni is 40, Matthew can be 60 or Matthew can be 80. And if Zinni is 60, Matthew has to be 80. So 3 cases. 3 cases we need to look at. Okay. Now, if in each of the 3 cases, can I say what will be Biman? Yes, obviously. All the 40, 60, 80 are pending. So if Zinni and Matthew are 40, 60, Biman will be 80. If 40 and 80 are Zinni and Matthew, then Biman will be 60. And if Zinni is 60 and Matthew is 80, it will be 40. 3 cases. Okay. And what do we need to know? We need to now see कि भैया Biman को minimum होना है. Okay. Now let's look at each case one by one. Let's look at the 3 cases. Okay. Now let's look at this one case. Can Biman be the minimum? It is 80 and 50. He is more. He's significantly more than Matthew. 80 is more than 60. 50 is more than 40. So in case 1, in this first case of 40, 80, 60 for Zinni, Biman and Matthew, Biman will not be the minimum. This case can be eliminated. Why am I saying that? 80 is more than 60. 50 is more than 40. Both cases. So whatever the weights, Biman will be more than Matthew. So this case is incorrect. Okay. This is a wrong case is what we need to remember first of all. Okay, that this is not possible. So I will then remove this particular case completely. Okay. So we can eliminate this case. Okay. Or just, okay, let me just erase it. Cut the new so that there's no confusion. Okay. Now let's look at 40, 60, 80 and 60. Now let's look at this one again. The second case. 40, 60 and 80. Okay. Now 40, 60, 60, 50. Okay. Which will be bigger aggregate? Let's check. While you can one thing you can do is what you can do is this project has a weight of 40% of 40 plus 60% of 60 versus 40% of 60 plus 60% of 50. See whether you are getting Biman as minimum or not. You can do the complete thing. What I will do is I'll look at the difference. Zini is 10 more on a weight of 60%, 0.6. Zini becomes 6 more. So 0.6 Zini's gain on account of this segment of test. She gets 60 marks against Biman's 50. So 60% of 10 marks is the gain, which is 6 marks. Right? And what about out here? What is the loss for Zini? Remember, Zini has to be aggregate on an aggregate more than Biman. Okay. So Zini has got how much loss? 20 marks less in project, and with a 40% weighted, 20 marks into 40% is 8. So Bini is 8 less. So Zini has 8 less marks in project on an aggregate and 6 more in. So Zini is -2. So if Biman is B, Zini will be B -2. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? ये case भी गलत हो गया है. That means this case is also wrong. What are we left with? 60, 40, 80. ठीक है? हो गया सेट हमारा. Now do I need to calculate? No, I don't need to calculate. I'll not calculate. जब जरूरत होगी सवाल पूछेगा तो करेंगे ना. So what is Zini's score in the project? That is what we needed to find out. This was the question number 1. What is Zini's score in the project? 60 आ गया ना. चलो 60 डाल दें उसको. Zini's score in the project is 60. Okay. Last question. Which of the following students? Which of the following pairs of students were part of the same project team? Same marks होने चाहिए ना. So when you look at A and B, A and B are 80 and 40. A has got 80 marks, B has got 40 marks. They cannot be part of the project team because in the project their marks are not the same. What about K and M? K is 40 and M is 80. ये उल्टा उसका. K is 40 and so no. Correct answer? Neither of the two. कितनी आसानी से निकल गया. Question number 2 and 3 were जुगाड़ question. So if you are willing to use these two questions, straight away काम हो गया हमारा. Otherwise यहाँ पे cases बना के मैं तो मर जाता. तुम्हें शौक है, you people go ahead with it. Okay? So this is a basic thing which I want you to again understand. चलो आगे चलते हैं. And कोई doubt है तो पूछ लो भाई. Even if you don't, even if a doubt strikes you later, please put your doubt in the comment section, and I will respond to it. In the comment section, it will also be helpful if you can put in what do you like about it, is working for you or not, what are the challenges you are facing in applying what I'm doing, and what are the other things you want me to cover. Okay? So सब डालते जाओगे comments में तो तुम्हारे लिए और मेरे लिए दोनों के लिए अच्छा रहेगा. Okay? So and if you need to get in touch with our teams, these are there. And if you want to get in touch with me personally, my phone number is 9811155160 and my email ID is gp@careerlauncher.com. Okay, so you can always connect with me if you have your doubts cleared or in terms of discussing your preparation. And yes, DILR 1000 has been launched. उसमें ऐसी चीजें भी की हैं, regular stuff भी है, and it is run by Gautam Bawa, Ravi Teja, and me. And if you are interested, you can always scan on this and enroll. So that's it from my side. All the best. See you again next week.